Today, on What It's Like, 1934 Hupmobile Aerodynamic Coupe, a very elegant and overlooked mid-30s car. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that dives in deep with the classics, vintage, some exotics. This channel, we love the orphan cars and cars that are not often talked about. We dive in deep with specs, period ads, and most importantly, show what these cars are like. If that sounds like a channel that you'll totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. This 1934 Hupmobile is not for sale, unfortunately. This car is from John's personal collection. This car was restored at the Just Like New Collision Center, which is located just to the right or left, depending on perspective, of John Kuefleitner's Galleria of vintage and classic and pristine cars. If you have a classic car and you'd like to get it restored, this place does that. Maybe you were in a fender bender and you just want your fender fixed. They do that as well. Link will be in the description below. They also have a good selection of classic cars to choose from. That link will also be in the description below. Real quick announcement before we get to the meat and potatoes. There is a Monday night car show every Monday night. It starts May 8th. I'm definitely going to the opener. If you want to go and drive into the car show together, hang out, do whatever, shoot me an email if you're interested in that. We'll figure out a place to meet up and drive in together. If you're interested, send me an email. All right, let's talk Hupmobile. Hup Motor Car Company was founded in 1909 by Bobby Hupp and Charles Hastings. They put $8,500 in capital towards manufacturing the Hupp car. They were joined by a group of investors. Bobby Hupp left the company in 1913. Even so, the company expanded during the teens and the 20s. Hupp bought Chandler Motor Car of Cleveland, Ohio for its manufacturing facilities to try to keep up with the demand. But lurking in the shadows was GD, or Great Depression. And the Great Depression didn't single out any company. All companies suffered across the board. Just want to jump in here real quick with a thank you. Thank you, Mark Chandler, for these advertisement pieces on the 1934 Hupmobile. 1934 Hupp came in 6 series, 2 engine choices. There was technically a junior and senior series. Starting in the basement, 417-W series, which rode a wheelbase of 117 inches. It was powered by an 80 horsepower inline flathead 6. Followed by the KK421 series, which rode a wheelbase of 121 inches, powered by a 90 horsepower 6-cylinder. This is where things get a little bit confusing. So those cars are essentially carryovers from 1933 that didn't sell that well, I guess, because they have the 1933 body, starting with the 421J series with a wheelbase of 121 inches, powered by a 93 horsepower flathead 6. This was the basement model in the Aerodynamic series. Moving to the senior series, basement model senior series F422 series, which rode a wheelbase of 122 inches. It was powered by a 96 horsepower inline 8. Moving up, I-426 series, which rode a wheelbase of 126 inches, powered by a 109 horsepower inline flathead 8. At the top, this was the flagship car, 427-T series, which rides a wheelbase of 127 inches. It is powered by a 115 horsepower inline flathead 8-cylinder engine. The 427-T could be had as a Victoria, sedan, or coupe. 1934 saw a redesign courtesy of Raymond Loewy called the Hupmobile Aerodynamic. This new design incorporated a number of innovations such as the 3-piece windshield, pilot house cabin, built-in headlights, rear continental kit that was built into the body. Let's compare 1933 on top, 1934 on the bottom. Starting in the front, I wasn't able to find a whole lot of pictures on both of these cars, so we're not going to go and show through all of the angles, just so you know. Just looking at the 34, it looks like it's moving while it's standing still. It looks so modern compared to the 1933. It's also worth mentioning that both of these designs were done by Loewy. Everything just flows on the 34. The grille is more of an angle. The hood ornament is different. Bumpers, lights, even the artillery wheels are different. Both have rear hinge doors to get in. Both have wipers mounted at the top. Both use butterfly hinged hoods. I will say the butterfly hinged hoods are completely different. Wait until you see this one. This one has a lot of stuff going on. Look at the cab and the differences. A 3-piece windshield on the 34, single on 33. 3 hinges used on the door on the 34 versus 2 on the 33. 1934 Hup is one of the most gorgeous cars ever made, in my opinion. Moving inside to take a look at 2 totally different instrument panels. Which one do you like better? Let's talk specs. It rides a wheelbase of 127 inches. Price, $1,345, which is equivalent to you spending $29,632.80 in the year 2023. Total 1934 Hup production was 9,420 units, of which 954 of those were the Aero Coupes 427-T. Moving on to engine. Only one engine on offer for this category and class of car. 303.2 cubic inch displacement, flathead, inline 8. It was good for 115 brake horsepower at 3,500 RPM with a bore of 3.8 inches and a stroke of 4.75 inches. Compression 5.8 to 1. It featured 5 main bearings and it was backed by a 3-speed manual transmission. Let's talk styling. Let's start with this bumper. Look at how clean of a design this is, but it's bent. It's almost bent like an S. Bends out here, and then it goes back in, comes here to a point. Notice they're 2 different pieces with a split in the center. Coming up here to this grill. The grill isn't straight, it's angled. Look at these headlights. These headlights are huge and they're oval shaped. This car doesn't have a whole lot of bright work on it, but it's very tastefully done. There's nice lines everywhere, like there's a line here or a seam, bead I suppose you would call this. Look at how this line continues down. Look at how this bulges out and then it comes back to a point. These fenders are smooth at the top here. There is a crease that comes off. It starts up here. It gets more pronounced as it heads down towards the running boards. Just look at how this fender is designed, or the side profile of this fender. There isn't another car that has this same fender design from all the cars that I've seen in person. I heard these are called artillery wheels. I absolutely love those with the Hupmobile logo here. It looks a lot like, I'm gonna flip the camera this way so you can see it right side up on the screen. This looks like the Studebaker logo, doesn't it? It's crazy. Just look at all the lines that are going on with the hood ornament, as well as the lines leading back to the cabin. Have this nice center line in the center coming up to the hood ornament, and the hood ornament looks like the same shape as like a Accord door handle or a Cadillac door handle. Very interesting. But just take in all of the lines that are going on. This is a vent to cool off the engine. If you were ever parked, you can just open that to allow more air to cool off the engine. This car has a cowl vent. Notice this windshield design. I've never seen anything like it. It's a 3-piece windshield. Windshield wipers are up on top. But even down here, just look at how all these lines, how this running board is designed. And it's a fairly petite running board, all things considered. Here's my foot. I wear size 12 shoe. It looks like it's the same size up here as it is back here. which is pretty uncommon. Most of the time they're wider up here and then they taper back into the body back here. Look at how these door hinges protrude outward. Notice there's 3 instead of 2. That's interesting. I love the way that these windows are dished in. Look at this piece here. This car is smooth. It doesn't have drip rails, but this edge is flared out. So you can see that. This car almost has a complete metal body, except for right here in the center. And this feels like a rubberized material. I was told that there's chicken wire in this. Very interesting. Coming to the back, look at how this is all sculpted, how this bright work comes back. These fenders, these rear fenders are very interesting. There is a ever so slight crease that starts right at the bottom and then it wraps before coming out the back, and it kind of tapers back into the body a little bit. Gas filler cap is right here on the driver's side. Notice these lights. I love the fact that it says Hup. No mistaking for what this car is. All of these texturized lines that are in the bumper itself, and notice the bumper is green here. It's like a panel on top of the bracket, so you don't see all of the inner workings of the bracket. It kind of hides the ugliness. And then the bumper on the back. One would step, I guess you'd step right on this and then step up to this one to get into the rumble seat. And that's how much space would be back there. You could use that area as a trunk if you'd like. I'm not going to close this all the way, but look at this design, especially with the spare tire. Doesn't that look like a Volkswagen Beetle to you? The split window design up here and this element right there. Look at how massive this window is. Also looks like it's pressed in. Look at how it's all dished. I love this crease here, how it comes down and flows underneath the spare tire. Coming up and getting inside, but before we do, check out this door handle and how it's designed. There's lots of intricate detail inside this door handle. Also, it's curved pretty good. This door opens a full 90 degrees, if not a little bit more than that. Just notice how the door is designed and shaped. Look at how thick the door frame is. There's my fingers for reference. I also love this lip that goes around. This looks like simulated wood, but I've been wrong in the past. There's parts of it that look real and there's parts of it that look fake. So I'm not entirely sure if that's simulated or real. I love how this mimics the piece on the other side of the window. That's really cool. So the window does go all the way down. Door handle to get out. Notice there isn't an armrest door panel itself. Take a look at this interior. Coming down inside, the pedal box down here, high beam switch, clutch, brake, gas pedal. Notice the steering wheel shaft goes in between the clutch and the brake pedal. Emergency brake, gear shift selector. Want to show what it's like getting in this because the kick panel is pretty close in reference to the seat. So if you're big, I guess you got to go. It's not the easiest thing in the world to get into. All right. Here's what over the hood impression looks like. And it looks very interesting with a 3-piece windshield. Look at that. And just look at how the angles out. Like, it's almost like wing windows in a sense. Like, those are just the wings of the windshield. It makes it look very, very different in here. Like, I'm gonna try to get the best angle that I possibly can with everything. So that's like full cabin view. It's just very interesting. Here's what first person would look like over the hood. Underneath the steering wheel, there is tons of space to put your hand between the steering wheel and your lap. On to the button switches and knobs, starting on the left and moving right. Headlights, speedometer with odometer and tripometer inside of it, gasoline gauge, coolant temperature, amp meter, oil pressure, choke, key, wipers, ashtray, hand throttle, and lighter. Up above, there aren't any sun visors. This material is a very interesting material. It almost feels like fabric from Grandpa's chair, like a wingback chair. It's almost like the same fabric from a wingback chair. This is the ashtray. On to the glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here's my hand for reference. Here is our glove box in question. This one doesn't have a floor in it, but I can show you that it would fit inside here, no issue whatsoever. This is what I look like sitting behind the wheel of the Hupmobile. I got tons of headroom, and I totally understand they used to wear hats back then, and that's why there's so much headroom. This car feels so spacious inside here. It's a very nice, comfortable seat. I don't feel claustrophobic whatsoever in this car. The gear shift lever is right where you... The gear shift lever is in a really nice spot. Let's take a look at the greenhouse, or the pillar to glass ratio in this car. That's what visibility looks like out the rear. There is a nice shelf back there, pretty wide shelf, as well as this is how you release the rumble seat from the inside. I never saw anything like that before. That's really cool. So coming up and getting underneath the hood, so it has these rods. This rod that's connected right to the firewall, it comes up and it connects and latches onto this tiny stud that sticks off of this bar, and that's what catches it. Just look at how this hood is shaped. It's all rolled right here, so there's not an edge. Some of these hoods, when you pick them up, especially the butterfly ones, they will cut you. This one doesn't have that because it's all nice and rolled underneath there. Just take a look at that hood shape. Lots of stuff going on. Coming up and taking a look at this engine, it's got dual horns, battery box right there, 6-volt system, generator down inside, beautiful straight 8. Look at, you can see all of the steering mechanism. This would be really easy to work on because you could actually get to everything. With both sides open, that's what it looks like. Just look at all of the different lines going on. Check out this carburetor, downdraft style. This car is absolutely gorgeous. Fuel pump down inside there with the fuel filter gas bowl. Starter over here. Notice the placement of the coil. It's sticking out of the middle of the firewall. Distributors right up on top. Look at all of the crossbars to help with flexing. It's like a spider that just sits up on top of this engine. Look at the radiator placement. It's good. It's not leaking. Here we go. Almost. Wow, that sounded absolutely amazing. Nothing sounds like a healthy flathead inline 8 in my opinion. All right, anyway, on the positives, this era, in my opinion, is the best looking Hup product. Raymond Loewy has clean lines. Pilot cab is super cool. Nothing sounds like it. It's a very cool sounding car. I wonder if it sounds like this at speed or it has more of a grunt. I'm very curious. Against it, parts may be difficult to find, especially the trim parts. Hard to get in and out of, especially if you're tall and have big feet. Information on this car is spotty at best. There is no storage space. This car does not have a trunk. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. 2 scenarios today. Which one would you rather have? 1934 Chrysler Airflow priced at $1,345 or 1934 Hupmobile priced at the same $1,345 or 1934 Nash Advanced 8 Coupe priced just a little less at $1,065. I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Moving on to the second scenario. While you're driving down the road in your car, what would you rather listen to? Boston, Chicago, or ELO? Going to leave this here for a minute. I always found it very interesting that these 3 bands sound very similar and yet have their own distinctive sound. While on the topic of music, now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to give both the name of the band and song title correctly, first person to do so will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section. Did you ever notice that the lead singer in this group and the lead singer in the Guess Who sound very similar? If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below or check out our Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. If you don't have Facebook and would like to get a hold of me, send me an email. All of that will be linked in the description below. Just know I appreciate all of the support, and until next time, toodaloo! I wanted to conclude with a random thought. Gordon Lightfoot unfortunately passed away this week. Rest in peace. But have you ever noticed the similarities between him and Quint from Jaws? Once you see the similarities, you can't unsee them. Super interesting nonetheless. What do you guys think?